HOSAFE. You got to keep your HOSAFE. What's up YouTube, Jason here with Byte My Bits, and in today's video I am talking about keeping yo HOSAFE. Okay, I'll stop, I swear, but seriously, this is a brand that is called HOSAFE. Now, it might be pronounced differently, I don't know, but I'm gonna call it HOSAFE because I like saying HOSAFE. It's funny. Funny names aside, this is actually a fairly decent camera. It's not necessarily like on the very cheap end, but it's actually a pretty good 1080p camera. That's right, it is only 1080p, but it's still not too bad. Cue the B-roll. This is the HOSAFE H2 M5D1 PW Power over Ethernet Outdoor PTZ camera. Now this thing can be power over Ethernet, or you can hook up a standard 12 volt power cable. It has a panning range of 355 degrees and a tilt range of 90 degrees. And it comes in with an optical zoom giving you up to 5 times magnification. It has a built-in night vision with infrared blasters that'll go up to 164 feet or 50 meters. It supports micro SD internally up to 64 gigabytes. You can connect it with Wi-Fi 2.4 gigahertz or with a standard Ethernet cable. Of course, power over Ethernet if you want to. And it has an operating temperature of -30°C all the way up to 55°C, which is -22 up to 131 degrees freedom. It's IP66 weatherproof with a 90-degree field of view. Now, pretty much the biggest thing about this camera is it is just completely ONVIF dependent, which is amazing. Now, they have their own software, and I tried the app, and it's all kind of like whatever. The ONVIF, though, hooking up to anything that you want is where the magic happens with this camera. That means things like Blue Iris, ISpy, Synology, QNAP, ZoneMander, all of those are going to support this with very little hassle. Blue Iris specifically, it was just pointed to the IP, type in username and password, hit inspect, boom, everything opened up. All of the PTZ controls, the zooming function, focus, everything. Perfect. However, like I did say before, this is only a 1080p camera, and in today's market with cameras, especially getting in the price range of this, I think I would have liked to see a little bit of a higher resolution built into it, but it still does okay. But before I show you some examples of that quality, let's talk about how you mount the camera, which is actually super easy because you get to mount a bracket on your wall first, you get it leveled, screwed in, do everything you need to do, and then you can hook the camera up, and it only takes one screw to secure it to the wall or to the bracket. From there, of course, you will run your cables as normal, but just keep in mind, if you haven't noticed, this thing is humongous. I mean, look at the size of my head. I have a big head, right? So let's just, let's put this on my shoulder right here. I mean, this thing is huge. It's probably the biggest, this is definitely the biggest camera that I have ever reviewed on this channel. I even thought to myself, do I want to hook this up on my house? Like, I mean, that is a huge eyesore for just a residential house. So definitely this is meant for like business, you know, where you're not gonna have like a nice painted house with this like ginormous camera sticking off the side. Not necessarily saying you can't, but if you wanna keep things looking clean and discreet, out of the way, that sort of thing, this camera might not be for you. But back to that whole 1080p thing, I mean, I've reviewed some Amcrest cameras, some Reolink cameras, and I've gotten much better quality, like crisp, sharp images out of those smaller cameras that offer a higher resolution. Granted, those cameras don't have outdoor PTZ like this one does, but there's a whole bunch of space in here that could have been used for a higher resolution sensor. It just wasn't. So to show you what I mean, this is me outdoors in my backyard. And really the quality is not bad by any definition. It just lacks a certain clarity or sharpness that I've come to expect from other cameras that have that higher resolution. It gets a little bit better when I walk closer to the camera, like most cameras should probably do, but overall I'm just a little bit let down. And I'm not saying it's not good quality, it's just, it doesn't have the higher resolution, so I think I'm just a little spoiled. When it comes to night vision though, holy bananas, this thing has some infrared blasters. I will tell you what, it is not as much as just like lighting an area up with infrared. No, this thing is more like a spotlight. I am serious, it is insane. I mean, it's supposed to have night vision up to 164 feet, aka 50 meters. So it has some blasters built into this. In my nighttime example, if I get too close to the camera, I am just blown way out. Like, you cannot tell what is going on. It's not until I go all the way back to my back fence, possibly 40 feet away from the camera, before I actually have any kind of clarity to my face. And even then, I almost had to bounce the infrared off the grass onto my face in order to get a clear picture. And the night vision doesn't actually look too bad. I mean, again, it is a 1080p camera, but it doesn't look terrible at night. What really just blew me away is like the intensity of the infrared spotlight built into this thing. I mean, this is really built for like a wide open parking lot, somewhere where you really need to shine an infrared spotlight across the way and try to capture somebody's face from like 100 feet away. Just to give you an idea, I mean, I do have 2 outdoor cameras facing towards the back, at least within the general field of view of where I was testing this camera. And you can see it as I move around, that spotlight that is just blowing out the backyard. And you can see it move and how much more intense it is from the other cameras that are already blasting infrared into the backyard. So the IR is no joke. I mean, you definitely want to use this in a wide open area, somewhere where you really need to go the distance on some video. Now, one thing that is impressive, of course, what this thing is built for is PTZ. For the pan and the tilt, it is easy to use, it's quick to set up, easy to run with something like Blue Iris or ISpy that has those PTZ controls built into your app. But when it comes to zoom, it is still pretty quick as far as the whole zooming thing. The only criticism I would have is how long it takes to actually refocus after you zoom in. Like in this example, I was zooming in across the pond behind my house and it just seemed to kind of bounce back and forth while it was trying to find focus. And this is a common theme throughout all my tests. Anytime I changed the zoom factor itself, it just took a little bit to gather its bearings and come back into focus. So quality aside, the software, pretty basic. Like I said, this thing is built for ONVIF, utilizing an NVR, a DVR, or whatever software that you want to use just easily. Now, it does have a web accessible graphic user interface that you can log into, make changes to like the quality and things like that. And while you're in there, you can even set up additional features like motion alerts if you don't have your DVR or NVR doing that for you. So overall, with Wi-Fi support, power over Ethernet support, the PTZ that's smooth, 5 times optical zoom, I mean, this is a very robust camera just as a complete package. And aside from maybe a little bit faster focusing, I wish it just had a higher resolution. And, you know, maybe just a tad bit smaller. But that's just a residential viewpoint. For a business, it doesn't really matter. But hey, if you want to find out exactly how much this camera is, along with some more detailed technical specifications, use the Amazon links down below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, post them in the comments section. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and have yourself a good night.